Hey gorgeous souls, I'm so excited to get back to basics with you today and talk about how to manifest. What's the best way to start manifesting and what actually works and what doesn't? Well, the first thing I want to say to you is that there are lots of different ways to word manifestation. So you'll see people talk about the steps of manifestation, like decide, believe and receive, or decide, embody, take action and receive, or whatever you want to call it. I want to first bust a myth about action, because this has become a really big popular thing to say is, oh, everyone's missing out on the action piece. This started with The Secret. People started criticizing The Secret for only briefly brushing over the need for action and giving people this idea that they could sit back on their couches and just wish for something and it would appear at their front door. And then people started saying, well, that's ridiculous, that can't happen. It just doesn't make sense in our world. And then we have Abraham Hicks, who talks about feeling good. Just feel good, and then the good will happen to you and for you. Those things are quite abstract, especially when you compare it to these people who are giving you step-by-step manifestation things that you need to do. And I find that on social media, even when they're teaching about, manifestation is such a natural flow of the universe. It's something that's happening all the time, and it's literally just teaching you how this happens and how to harness it. It's more about shifting what you're doing to start manifesting things you do want and consciously manifesting, rather than just either leaving it vague and just manifesting randomly, or even manifesting things you don't want because you don't understand what you're doing. That's what I believe in manifestation, is just teaching you how it works so that you can just simply shift, rather than taking all these action steps or doing a ritual or the latest or the best trick. It's interesting that those are the things that get the most views, is because people just want to know the fast, what can I do now? What action can I take that will create the outcome that I want? And that makes perfect sense. But the way I encourage it is that you sit back and relax and learn about how manifestation works, and that'll actually give you a good foundational understanding so that you can notice what's happening on the inside that's creating the manifestation. If you just do these action steps or these rituals, you'll find that it doesn't work for everyone, or it doesn't work all the time, because people don't actually understand what they're doing when they're scripting or when they're lighting an intention candle, because those things work when you have that internal manifesting state. Now let's talk a little bit about action. Action is not necessarily needed for manifestation. And I find it really interesting because everyone's coming forth and saying, oh, this is the thing that they're missing. It's action, and you need to take action. And there's this really subtle undertone of hustle with manifestation. Did I just say that before? This is the second time I filmed this video because I got interrupted. Action is not necessarily needed. It's really important to listen to what some people call inspired action. I like to call it intuitive action because it's listening to your intuition, but I suppose calling inspired action makes it more accessible to people who may not necessarily be really into the spiritual, or it can be daunting calling it intuitive action, I suppose, if you feel like you're not tapped into your intuition. So inspiration is a very similar thing, almost the same, very similar thing anyway. It's important to listen to that intuitive action, because manifestation is this outward energy of saying the things that you want, whereas intuition is the messages coming back from the universe telling you how to get it. So if you're told to take a particular action, yes, it's really important to take that, to let your manifestation happen, let it all unravel, let it come into that 3D physical form. If you're manifesting something though, and you don't hear the intuitive action and you don't take the intuitive action, the thing about the universe is if you don't hear it, it'll get louder. You don't need to worry about, listening really hard, or I always find it interesting when people read really deeply into signs and symbols, and that can be really fun, but you don't need to worry that you're going to miss a message. That's what I'm basically saying, because the universe will get louder, it'll get clearer, it'll make sure that it guides you. And the thing about the way our world works, there's infinite possibilities, and you're walking this path towards your manifestation, and if you don't take the exit towards your physical manifestation of the thing that you desire, the universe is going to, like a GPS, just reroute you and say, okay, well, I'll bring this next opportunity, I'll bring this next opportunity, I'll line this thing up, and eventually you'll get there. Maybe it won't be the quickest, I suppose, if you don't listen to that intuitive action and take it right away, but you'll still get there. So listen to an intuitive action, but don't get caught up on this idea of action. Don't start doing empty actions or getting stuck in the mind trying to figure out the next action, because that's not what manifestation is about. And that's where I think that bringing all this focus to action is really quite interesting, because that's not where the focus is for manifestation. The focus really should be on your internal state, because that's all manifesting is. I really agree with things like embodying and visualizing, and that's what I've used since I was a teenager to manifest the things that I want. I've used visualization. And if you're not a very visual person, that's okay too. When I visualize, I don't see all the details. I just kind of feel them. I feel where things are around me, and that's how I'm embodying and getting to the energy of it already being done. Manifestation is all about getting into that energy of it already being done, however you need to do that. And that's why rituals can help people, is if it helps them get into that state. If it makes you get into this desperate state, or focusing on the fact that you don't have it, or that it's going to take time, or that you're waiting for it, or you're wanting it and don't have it, any of that stuff, that's why that doesn't work. Because in a nutshell, manifestation is about getting into the state and the feeling of it already being done. And then if you need to take intuitive action to physically bring it into reality, take the action. The action is not necessarily, like when we think about action, we think about doing stuff, like going out there, it's a big thing, it's making it happen, it's working, it's earning, it's that kind of hustling energy, even if it's not like big hustle, but it's action, right? It's you doing something. It's not necessarily like that. For example, it could be as simple as accepting it. So when I manifested money on the ground, I decided today when I go into the city, I'm going to manifest money. And I decided that it was already done. I got into that state of it already being done. When I went to leave, I was going to the car park and I thought, I haven't found my money yet. So obviously it's going to be within these next few meters. And literally the crowd parted, and about 10 meters ahead there was my note on the ground. Nobody else saw it because A, people don't look, and B, it was destined for me anyway. I had manifested that. So my only action was to walk over and pick it up. There was one time where I was in an art shop and I decided I wanted a tabletop easel. It was $50. I had $50, but something in me just felt no need to get it that day. And I thought, okay, apparently I don't need to get it. I'll just leave it open, leave it for another day, whatever. I didn't overthink it at all. The next day I went to a friend's house. She literally had one for me. And she said, look, I have this. Because I'm moving, I don't need it anymore. I thought you would like it. And it was literally the next day. The only thing I had to do, I was at her house anyway, the only thing I had to do is say, yes, please. And then she put it in this pile of stuff for me, and then I carried it to my car, and then it was mine, you know. It's not necessarily a big action. Now, I want to tell you about spontaneous manifesting. This is the extreme version of not needing action, because spontaneous manifestation doesn't even require you to set a conscious intention. It doesn't even require you to say, oh, I want that thing. Let me take a quick drink. In spontaneous manifestation, you literally just like something and then it manifests for you. The universe knows what's in your heart, and yet this is what I mean by the hustle, is people think they have to do all these things and write all these things down and make sure the universe knows, make it really clear. And you know, even if you know that you don't need to repeat it to the universe, you feel like you have to get it out there somehow and make it really clear and obvious and set the intentions and whatever. And yes, they can help, but maybe they're just helping because it helps concrete it within you. Because the universe knows what's in your heart. And this is, I teach about an overarching intention, which is saying that creating this intention that the universe always knows, and so things that you desire manifest for you and you don't have to do anything. That's basically what it is. the overarching intention. I'll go into that in another video. But with a spontaneous manifestation, you literally just see something, you like it, and then it manifests for you. So you can use this to your advantage as well. What am I going to say? Okay, 2 things. First of all, when you're writing a to-do list, I really encourage you not to say to do. And when you want something in your life, I really encourage you not to immediately go into action mode of how you're going to get it. Because as soon as we say, okay, I need to get that, I need to save for it, I need to go to the store to get it, you're actually creating the intention and expectation that you will get it, or you will pay money for it, and that is the way you're going to get it. You could write down on your to-do list or your to manifest list, you could write down things that you are receiving, and instead of saying get such and such, say receive. Or I write, like I need new tires for my car, so I would write I have new tires on my car, without stating the way that it's going to happen, because it leaves it open to the universe. And there are plenty of times where things have been fixed up for me without me having to take any action. I've fixed appliances this way. I've had people resolve issues in this way without me having to take action. I've had things that I wanted just come to me, like the bicycle on the doorstep in The Secret, because things can happen that way, even though it goes against the things that we've learned. And as soon as you open yourself up to that, and maybe learn a bit of the science behind it too, and the quantum physics, because that helps you trust and believe that it is possible despite being taught everything opposite during your upbringing, that means that you can start manifesting in this beautiful way. The other thing I wanted to say is use this to your advantage by, instead of saying I want this or intend for this to happen, say I love this. And that's a way to get into the state of already having it as well. So this is more of the conscious intention setting, I suppose, because you know that you want it and you're bringing attention to that. But for example, there was one time where I wanted to see the platypus in the local dam, and I wasn't seeing it, and it was 5 or 10 minutes, and I was starting to get into this energy of it's not here, I'm not going to see it, and I caught myself. So I switched over to I'd love to see it now. I'm seeing the platypus any moment now. I'd love it, I love it, I love it, and get into that I love it state. Following on from the I love it state, oh, hang on, I didn't finish that story. And it was like 5 seconds later, the platypus popped up. It was magical, it was perfect, and the more you manifest, the more you realize that it is so easy, and every time it's so satisfying and thrilling, and it feels like magic every single time, and it concretes your belief that it can happen again. It's such a beautiful process, becoming a conscious manifester. What was I going to move on to? Oh yeah, gratitude. You've probably heard that gratitude is a great way to get into the state of manifesting. I found an even greater hack, and it's similar to gratitude, and you might have heard of a gratitude rampage, which is being grateful for lots of things in your life, and then you could throw in a few things that you want as well, because then your brain relates the things you desire to things you already have, and then it gets into that embodying, having it state. I recommend saying, I love it. I love my monster. I love my chair, rather than saying I'm grateful for or I'm thankful for, because it's kind of an outward energy, and it's kind of an earning it, being thankful. You know, I'm so grateful to something external from myself, rather than just when you say I love it, it's like this beautiful, natural, connective energy. That's basically how I can explain that. What else do I want to say about how to manifest? So the steps of manifesting, it pretty much is like the believing and the receiving, or the believe, embody, receive. It's just getting into that state of it already being done. And I know you want a quick fix of something that you can do. My favorite is visualizing. Any rituals that you want to do, just make sure they are bringing that energy with it, like scripting. If you're going to script something many, many times, make sure you're feeling like it's happening, because that's the way that it actually works. Greg Braden went and interviewed some monks about prayer, and he said, what is it about these bells and the mantras that create the prayer? And the monk laughed and said, the prayer comes from us. These things just help us get to that state. That's exactly how manifestation is as well. So, sure, you can follow the steps, and the way I word the steps is making a deal with the universe. It makes it easy to remember. DEAL. D is decide what you want. E is embody the inner state and the external state of having it as well. So act as if on the inside you believe that it's possible, you do all those kind of nuances on the inside, have the thoughts of somebody who would already have it, maybe visualize it. On the outside, you act as if like you carry yourself maybe confidently, or you could wear particular clothes that make you feel a certain way, take particular actions. You could go and, drive the car, tour the house, do all that kind of stuff to really embody it. A is act on inspiration or intuition. So if you receive any suggestions of things you should do, listen to intuition. There was one morning that I decided I wanted a big whiteboard for our family, and then I didn't say about getting it, didn't do any of that stuff, just decided, I would love a big whiteboard. I took my kids to swimming lessons, and my intuition said, hang on, don't park where you usually park, go onto this other street. And I thought this was just my intuition getting me the perfect parking space and telling me it was probably busy in that other spot, because my intuition does that a lot, always get the best parking space. And I pulled up, got that parking space, thought, oh, good. And I turned off the car and went to get out of my driver's side and looked across the road, and there was some free stuff for giveaway, and there was my whiteboard. So listen to that intuitive action. And again, it doesn't have to be a big thing. I literally just parked somewhere different. It doesn't have to be a huge action. The last thing I talk about is letting it in, and that's about letting go of resistance, letting go of limiting beliefs, letting go of past experiences, letting go of low mood, negative energy, all that kind of stuff, which you will hear manifestation teachers talk about. That's important stuff and really helpful stuff, and will help you speed up your manifestation and help make it easier to manifest. I want to let you know in a little secret, you don't actually have to do any of that stuff. Don't feel like you can't have the things that you want in life because you have this block or that block or low mood or doubt or any of those things. I've been consciously manifesting for 5 years now with a daily awareness of what I'm doing and what outcomes I have. And I've tested all this stuff. I'm like a manifestation scientist. I've tested, and I can tell you, you can manifest the thing that you want, even when you're grumpy and having super negative thoughts. I did this one day, for example, when I wanted to get my parking space. I drove in and I was grumpy, and I started saying, well, I'm grumpy, I'm probably not going to manifest the thing that I want. Then realized I was doing that thing where you accidentally set an intention for it not to happen, and said, okay, actually, overarching intention, regardless of how I feel or what I'm thinking, the thing that I truly desire, which is to get my parking space, is going to happen anyway, because the universe knows that that's what I want, and the universe loves me for who I am. I don't need to change my mood or my thoughts and be perfect just to manifest. This is a really weird, subtle, toxic underlying thing that's being taught, is you need to change who you are, and you need to change your beliefs, and you need to change all this stuff just to have the thing that you desire. That's not true. The other thing is, there's a lot of things, but the other thing is doubt. The idea that you need to truly, fully, absolutely believe that it's going to happen can create a lot of anxiety, and then people can think, oh, because I've got this doubt, because I don't fully believe it's going to happen, it's not going to happen. And then by doing that, you're doing the thing I just talked about, is setting an intention for it not to happen, because you believe you've got to be perfect and believe 100% in it for it to happen. You don't. You don't need to believe 100% that the thing you desire is going to happen. You just need to decide that regardless of what you believe, the universe knows and it will happen. So do you see how you're still believing that it will happen, but you're believing that it happens even if you have doubt? You're choosing to believe in the outcome, even though your human persona has that anxiety and that doubt about it. You decide and you say, all right, universe, you know what I want. You know the overall outcome, and I'm going to have these daily human emotions, these daily thoughts, a little bit of doubt, a little bit of disbelief. I'm going to have maybe some conflicting beliefs about it, but the universe is all-knowing, it's wise. Maybe it's just how quantum physics works, whatever, but as soon as you decide, it's done. It's completely done. And this is what I mean, that manifestation is just getting to the point where you believe that it's already done, and you don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be fully embodying it. You can just decide. And it might sound crazy, but it works, and I've tested it. So that's how to manifest in a nutshell, really, is that you embody the state of it already being done. And yes, you might need to decide what you want before you can take start embodying it. And yes, you might need some intuitive action. And yes, you can rearrange some things, do some shadow work, rewire your limiting beliefs to help let it in faster, but know that it can happen anyway. Manifestation is super simple. You've just got to start believing that it's possible, because the main thing that gets in the way is accidentally believing that it's not going to happen, and the upbringing in society and what society tells us. So the more you do it, the more you have these experiences that reinforce it for you, and you realize that it's simple and easy. It can happen as fast as you allow it. That's the other thing, maybe I'll say that really quickly, is that the universe doesn't care if you want $1 million or $1. It means nothing to the universe. It means nothing to quantum physics. It's only in our mind. If we think it's a really big thing and it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of effort and a lot of time, it will. Even if it's something small and you think it's going to take time, or I need to work, or I need to earn it, that's what's going to happen, because you're setting that expectation and that intention. So it can happen as quickly as you allow it. So what I recommend is finding that limit of where you can believe. When I found that note on the ground near the car park in the city, I wanted to manifest $50, and then I had that little doubt and I thought, I'm not going to manifest $50, which is me setting an intention that it wouldn't happen. So I brought it back down, and I thought, $5, that doesn't sound enough. $10 could happen, $20 could happen, sure. I'll just leave it up to the universe. I just want a note on the ground. So I got a $10 note. With the thing that you're manifesting, if it's not believable and you find yourself unconsciously, subtly changing your intention and expecting it not to happen, bring it back to the point where it's something that you can believe, but is maybe a little bit of a stretch for you. Like, could you manifest $1 million tomorrow? Don't believe it? Okay, what about $1,000? Imagine how $1,000 could come to you tomorrow, or $100, or $5, whatever it might be. Stretch it to and find that boundary to the thing that is believable to you, to the point where you can manifest it. And if it's something that's a little bit unbelievable, but you're still keeping that intention, holding the intention, that thing will work too. So I hope this video has helped you. I hope it's been basic enough that it teaches you about manifestation, but also I like to teach it in the way that's kind of, some people might call it advanced, but it's really just teaching you how manifestation actually works, so you don't get caught up in these empty actions or rituals thinking that they're the thing that works, they're the things you need to do, or that you have to take all this action, or you have to be perfect in order to do it. You don't. You can manifest now. I know it's crazy to think you can just sit back on your couch and there'll be a knock on the door and the bike will arrive, but things like that do happen. So go out, find those stories. You can look at the Secret website, I think has a blog of people sharing their stories. Just find them. Read The Intention Experiment by Lynn McTaggart if you want to learn about the science, so you can more fully believe in manifestation, so that you can expect the things you want to happen. And there you go, just get started, because the more you do it, the more you believe in it, and the more you can truly expect the things to happen. All right, I'll talk to you in the next video. Mwah.